Welcome back, subscribers. This is kind of a, I wouldn't call it like an emergency, but it's current news of what's happening kind of behind the scenes in the electronic world that most people don't get to see because they're not doing business and having to deal with day-to-day affairs and things that are changing. So it turns out that there's some elemental changes that are happening inside the digital identification, and people that I've talked to want to know, like, who's implementing these things in. Is it coming? Are we going to hear this from MSNBC or CNN or something like that? And the answer is no. It's happening independently um, through through company like large corporations like Google and Microsoft and so on. And as these restrictions, if you will, or it's a gating system essentially that they're rolling out. They've been slowly doing it and changing it as they go, so that you don't really notice it very much. It's not. It's an automated system, and no one's getting any memos on it. They're basically making these changes behind the scenes for inside their softwares for us to be doing business on the internet. All right, and using digital commerce, if you will. Okay, so this is important, I think, for everyone, just to kind of know what's actually changing the landscape and the reasons why it's happening. So some of the things that we cover are the changes in the system and how it's going to be affecting everyone, and things to kind of look out for. So we actually have like an action plan, like, hey, what you can do in order to be able to decrease your amount of flack, I guess you will, if you will, moving into this new system. But identifying, like, yeah, these things are actually really happening. Like, we're identifying it. So I guess you could call it inside information. It's just because I know of what is coming in future because of working with blockchain and digital technology, that how it works, and how identification is like paramount within the system. I wanted to know too, like, how are they going to roll it out? Okay, so I'm going to explain like a little story on what we've experienced. Now, ultimately, what this is that Google changed some of the rules through Android on the way that apps are loaded on a platform. So if you go on Apple Play, like Apple Play or Google Play, this is really associated with Google and like Google Play, because that's one that we ran into. I think Apple's a little bit more congruent with its own system. It seems to be more closed, like they're handling uh, their stuff seems to be a lot more vertically integrated, and most of the developers that I talk to say that it's just easier to upload their apps and things like that on the Apple Store than it is with Android. So, but I'm one of those people that uses Android. Like, I'm different. So we have this cleaning business, and inside of our vans that we use, I've got a display, a touch screen. It's essentially, I found out that it's considered a tablet. Okay, so it's one of these. It's a aftermarket display head unit that goes inside the dash, so that we can use routing and things like that, routing software, but have it where someone's not using their phone to be doing routing for stop to stop whenever we service customers. Okay, so how I do it is how it navigates and talks to the internet is I use just mobile tethering. We use I tether my phone, so my phone puts out a signal that then sends over to the Wi-Fi of the unit, the head unit in the vehicle, and then it uses the internet through my telephone back to the to get into the system and be able to use the routing in real time. Because the head unit doesn't have a SIM card, so I can't make a telephone call. It doesn't have its own personalized identification, if you will, on the head unit. It can identify itself through my phone, but it's not on the actual worldwide system. It's not identified as being a unit that has a contract that's behind it. So it's tethered, and I've been using this software from this company, and I talk really closely with her. I'm going to have her on. She's really super knowledgeable business wise, and also on the digital side. And I want to also like be able to showcase her business, because I've got some people that are interested in using her software and things like that. So I'm going to have her on, It's just things have just been really, really busy. Um, it'll be on the private side. It's be like, that's why you need to sign in and be part of the, part of the group, so that you can have access to listening to like insiders, like people that are really doing business, understanding like what's going on. So I can go ahead and share this because it's just something that one of my daily gaffes on, beating my head against the wall trying to figure something out that is been changed out from underneath us. So I'm on vacation for a week. I was picking up this car out in California that I had built. Took 5.5 years to get it. I told the story before. So at any rate, excuse me, Kate and I went out to San Diego. Got the car. We didn't actually get the car. The car didn't start the day we took it, so we ended up renting a car and took the trip across country. And that's how you know I'm not AI, because AI is not going to be doing this, clearing its throat. So cut across the country, and then so I was out a week. We didn't work, and I basically took the week off from work. So I just sent a message out to the customers, said like, hey, we're not going to be doing business this week. Your contracts are kicked over for another 4 weeks, so on and so on, because it's a 4-week service. And so I didn't use my vehicle. Nobody used the vehicles, and I didn't sign in. So I didn't know that there was actually a problem that had occurred already. And when I came back, I had some other family issues and things that I had to happen. So I really didn't work very much for about 2 weeks. And when did this start? So I guess it was Tuesday. So Tuesday, I worked Tuesday through Fridays, and I had to re-upload the app on the unit inside the van, and I kept getting this like white screen and a kind of, not necessarily a code, but identification that came across and saying like to whitelist. It asked about whitelisting, and whitelisting is basically identification. That's what that is. So if you're blacklisted, you're not allowed to play in the game, and whitelisting, you're allowed to play in the game. So it had language in there about whitelisting. And I went through the unit and I talked with her probably half a dozen times yesterday. And I'm part of probably her development. I'm part of the team to kind of identify, any other issues and things like that that are happening in the software, that are happening in the real world once they with their customers and things. So I'm contacting and talking directly to her, and she's got a company that's over in England. So anyway, I'm communicating back and forth and saying like, hey, this is what my screen is telling me. I'm downloading it. I uninstalled it, reset the machine, I went through all that stuff. And I was like, I have a better than most knowledge of computerization and how the whole system works. And I said, I keep getting this same message. And I said, but on my telephone, I can download the app and it works. And I said, so there's some kind of a problem. So she said, yeah, it must be a security issue that's on your head unit inside your vehicle. I spent, over an hour messing around with all kinds of things, doing internet checks and all kinds of things, and basically came to this conclusion. I found that I ended up downloading an app that probably should work, which would be Home Depot. It was a Home Depot app. So I download the Home Depot app, and this same screen pops up about whitelisting. And then, but Home Depot puts up a screen, a tag banner that says, we're no longer supporting tablets, is what it had said. And I was like, ah. And then I looked up my head unit again, and it's identified as a tablet because it doesn't have a SIM card. So you have desktop computers. So there's 3 designations. This is what I'm going to tell you. There's 3 designations. There's desktop computers, there's your telephone, your personal device, and then there's tablets. So the tablets are considered kind of rogue, I guess, by now is like because they don't, a lot of them, if they don't have an actual a SIM card to identify them as a separate unit on the digital space. Basically, like you could take your tablet that doesn't have this, and you can go to any Wi-Fi anywhere and use a Wi-Fi and just kind of anonymously be interneting and surfing with no real true identification that the person that's using it, through whether it's facial recognition, thumbprint, whatever else, it doesn't have any identification to it. And I called her and I said, hey, I said, it's designating it. Does your app, sorry, does your app have, um, is it, is it able to be downloaded with a tablet? I said, is that something? I said, and I explained to her exactly what I said, like desktop, phone, how the whole thing worked. And she said, well, let me look. And she said, there's a new checkbox in the uploading and the publishing section whenever they have to publish the application. And she said, she's having to constantly republish on this. So it's like, it's something that's not like a set and forget. Like I'm just going to put an app out there and have it run. And she said, we just uploaded this. She said 2 weeks ago, this checkbox wasn't there. So in order for them to actually get the app to work for people that have tablets, they had to uninstall it and then republish it and then check the checkbox. So there's like a sequence of like a gate system that you have to follow through with all these elements in order to make your app work. And when I told her about the Home Depot, she's like, wow, that's a huge corporation. She said that they don't have the, that they are not following through with applications with using tablets. And I said, yeah, I said, this is digital identification. I said that they're really clamping down on companies that are, the new system is requiring like whatever the person is in whatever device that they sign into is their personal imprint inside the new system. So the tablets themselves, like I said, they're completely anonymous, and that's not going to work in the new system because they want to like track and follow you with every little tiny little thing that you're doing, and be like, well, the workaround is like I'm not going to identify that. Well, the problem is like that the most of the companies that are doing this, the large corporations, may not be checking that checkbox whenever they upload, because like Home Depot, that that a large corporation knows about this, and that they're so if they resist or restrict that um, gating system to get into the internet with that particular onboarding system, which would be a tablet, you can't use it anymore. It's like junk. So the only way that you could get on would be a SIM card or identifying that particular device on a particular IP. So I just don't think that they have the development package through Google yet. Maybe they do. It's just not working. Again, like for me, I needed it for work to do my job. Where you could bind, say, like a device like a tablet with a telephone, which was really bizarre because I'm using my tethering device with the tablet, and it didn't work. So but again, the gating system is going back on the applications, just by not checking a checkbox that just appeared over the past 2 weeks. This is just great. So um anyway, there's going to be more and more of this clamping down that continues to keep happening, and people aren't going to know why stuff isn't working anymore, and they're not going to know, who to call, and they're probably just going to like either throw devices away or not use them any. I don't really know. That's kind of beside the point. But from a business perspective, there's a lot of businesses out there that use these applications, and a lot of people that surf and use tablets because they were giving them away. Like you get a new mobile phone and they would give you a free tablet. So there's a lot of people that still use the tablets, and that's a lot of business that's going to be, you're not going to be able to access the customers because most of the people just give up. Like if they can't get something to work on the IT side, because they don't understand that it's happening on the upper level of Google, just requiring all these other elements and things that need to be done in order to republish applications. And I said, and then small corporate companies that have all these applications, for them to follow back up, it's basically like sewing up and making it so that their applications only work on devices that have real true identification, where you could link a SIM card to a human being. And it's like, guys, like I just want to do my job and do my thing and have it work the same way as it did before. So what we're doing is just like creating new workarounds, which all it really was is me identifying to her, and I asked her, that this is a problem. Like, and then as she looked into it, she found out like, yeah, in fact, that this has happened over the past couple of weeks. And I asked her, I said, well, does this cost you any more money to do this, to check another box and republish? She says, no, it's just time. It's just the team having to be aware of the new rule, and then we're going to deal with it. But it would have never been identified unless I would have found it, which seems like I always magnetically find these issues and problems that are happening with these softwares because I'm on the user side. And since I have somebody that I can actually pick up the phone and call and work through the problems and know, because I know what's happening and what the future of the commerce system and how it's going to be running on this Web3, I can easily plug in and understand why it's happening instead of being like upset because it's just, it's wrecking my, day, or, causing me to have friction for the day. I know that it's because they're furthering clamping down. So for people that have apps or applications or development, or just on the user side, which is everybody, when things aren't working, and you might have been using an app and now it doesn't work on a tablet or something like that. That's the reason why. So yeah, that'll hamper business, because on my side, I'm like, I can't access it for my business. So I'm like, imagine if it was somebody that's doing, we're using that application just for it's a private portal inside this particular business to be able to access the portal. We're not buying or selling or anything in it, but but companies that are buying and selling through applications, they're going to have to learn the hard way, and customers aren't going to really have a way to contact them, because in the computer industry, you could download an app and you'll never get in contact with the developers. It's like forget it. So those applications, because the people they're not going to get the feedback. You know what I mean? Like, because I've got business direct with her, with her system, that we know direct, like, this is what's going on. So again, like, that's the inside information. So what are the repercussions of that? Loss of revenue, for sure. There's going to be less people that are going to be able to go on and do business with tablets. So, is it the end of the world? No, of course not. But when you start to run into these things, it's companies that are willing to play by the new game. There's new rules that are coming in, and that's what we try to identify in the reservoir. That's what we talk about. And then bringing people into the community and getting them to identify, like, hey, you either have a business or you're going to be starting a business. You have to understand and know these things, because they're not teaching it. All right. You're going to learn the hard way. It's going to be hard knocks, and you're just going to have to get your hands dirty and hopefully come into contact with people that have been running into these things, so that you can kind of navigate around them, because it's not that they don't want you to do it. They just are creating a more difficult friction-based system based upon digital identifications. This is what it is. So anyway, there'll be more to come. I figured I would just do this one really quick. It's like, yeah, I'm trying to keep my videos like short, so they just stay like kind of interesting, because I know people just, they lose their interest in pretty quick. I think it's like a couple of minutes, something like that. So yeah, so check us out, sign up, and then everything is all privatized. You go in and it's free. You get inside the portal, it's free. And if you want to have a conversation with me, and talk about your business and just kind of like your storyline and some of this crazy haywire crap that's happening that you can't really wrap your head around, whether it's geopolitical or whatever, it's all or metaphysical, if it's something spiritual or something like that. It's all coming to fruition right now. We're at the moment in the chess game where the chess pieces are moving like crazy, and if you're on top of it, you'll do fine, as long as you understand what's going on and what the end game is. All right, then it's like, well, like, just put me into that position so that I understand where it's heading, what people are going to be doing, how the administration is laying out this new system. All right, and I don't need it to go like 2 generations for me to figure it out. Be like, I need to keep doing my business or starting a business and knowing like the rules that I need to play by right from the get-go, so it doesn't cost me time and money, moving forward. And anyway, it gives you clarity and a better sense of it's like a calm, because you know that this is just another speed bump in the road. But yeah, and identifying it. And once, like I said, once you understand like the main language of what the directive is, then the rest of it, it's like it's like you kind of have that running, and it's like running on simmer in the background, and you're like, okay, well, I know what's happening over here, and I need to apply that to today's problems. Like, what are they doing? How do I navigate around this? How does this work as far as the gating with the digital identifications and who's responsible for what? One more thing. If you have a business and you've been using, like, say, your personal telephone for business, you're going to have separations between corporate, corporate, anything that you've been doing with your, your digital footprint is going to have to be completely separated from your personal. All right. And that's going to be really important. So that's something that you can start cleaning up on your own personal side, that you have to have a complete separation between the corporate entity, the debt entity, and your own personal. So there'll be more about it when I talk about it, because I guarantee there's going to be more problems and things like that we're going to run into that we can navigate around like pretty quickly. Like this issue that we just had yesterday, it's going to be rectified within 24, 48 hours, something like that. Not a big deal. So anyway, more to come. Like I said, since I'm actually, like, I do business and I know where things are going, that I can identify and bring these things to the table so that people can understand like why and where it's heading. So that's really important. Cheers. Talk to you later.